Lieutenant General Puleng Dimpane appeared before an ad hoc committee at the Kgosi Mampuru Correctional Services facility in Pretoria and has disclosed that specialised task teams, including the high-profile Operation Val'umgodi, have cost more than 1 billion rand over a 3-year period. Dimpane has clarified that these funds did not come from the South African Police Service budget, but were sourced through alternative channels, including allocations from the CAA committee. Her testimony sheds light on the scale and the funding structure of operations aimed at tackling organised crime and political killings.
The reason why we would then go and look for alternative funding is because of the financial constraints that we find ourselves in. We have experienced financial constraints in a form of budget reductions on our operational funding. For us to be able to succeed with these operations, we from time to time have to then make funding available, and it becomes a challenge when you are faced with budget reductions in terms of operational funding. So we look at other alternative funding sources, and this is one, and as a department we are grateful for such. So this is money that was made available for us to be able to go throughout the provinces that had issues in terms of managing this crime pattern, and 1.1 billion has been utilized up to so far.
All right, let's take you to SABC News reporter Bulelani Phillip, who's at the Kgoši Mampuru Correctional Services facility in Pretoria and joins us live. Very good afternoon to you, Bulelani. Just listening in to Lieutenant General Puleng Dimpane's testimony, really just getting a sense of the money trail, what happened and how on earth did Kat Vusimusi Matlala's contract, how was that awarded in terms of the order of events? But of course, Dimpane's testimony suggesting that the PKTT costs were not as exorbitant as they were made out to be when Police Minister Senzo Mchunu appeared to give evidence.
Well, good afternoon to you, Mfundo, and to the viewers at home. Of course, General Dimpane just finished evidence in chief after being led by the evidence leader, Advocate Lerato Zikalala. Of course, chief amongst her testimony is that she played no part in the awarding of this health risk services contract that was awarded to Vusimuzi Ket Matlala's company. She says that a forensic investigation is currently underway to determine what caused or what lapses were identified before this irregular contract was awarded to Vusimuzi Ket Matlala's company. She says that forensic investigation is set to be completed next month, and the results of that investigation will be handed to this ad hoc committee. In another issue that she testified about is that the argument that has been put forward by embattled Police Minister Senzo Mchunu that the political killings task team played no value. She dismissed that argument, saying that in all the 5 meetings that she had with Minister Mchunu, there was no discussion on the cost viability of the political killings task team. Of course, as you indicated, is that even other task teams were actually having higher costs than the PKTT. So that is the absolution that the Chief Financial Officer of the South African Police Service has testified before this committee. In other news, forensic investigator Paul O'Sullivan appears to be on a collusion course with the MK Party. This after the MK Party threatened to lay criminal charges against O'Sullivan after O'Sullivan threatened a witness last week, Cedric Nkabinde, who is the Police Ministry Chief of Staff. Sibonelo Nomvalo is the MK Party MP that serves before this ad hoc committee. Firstly, Paul O'Sullivan threatened one of the witnesses, and you've threatened to actually lay a criminal complaint against him. Has that happened?
Yeah, no, it's going to happen. We are going to report the matter to the nearest police station this week as the MK Party, because Paul O'Sullivan did not only threaten the witness on stand, Cedric Nkabinde, he went further to threaten the MK party now. He sent a letter to the senior council on Friday. In fact, the letter was forwarded to us by the senior council on Friday, on the 21st of November this year. Now, in that letter, he says, if we continue, because you would remember that the MK party wrote a letter to the senior council requesting him to direct the NDPP to furnish us with the report, with the report, or with the progress report rather, on cases which were opened by the police against Paul O'Sullivan, but which were later withdrawn by prosecutors when they were dealt with in court during the course of prosecution. Now, we asked for that information to be given to us by the NDPP when the NDPP appeared before our committee. But after realizing that she doesn't send it, we then wrote a letter to the senior council advising him to request for this information from the NDPP. Now, Paul O'Sullivan felt threatened by that we made, and he wrote a threat to the MK party, but not only to President Zuma, citing that if digging this thing, it might open a can of worms, it might reinstate cases against President Zuma and Dudumini. And we're saying that is nonsense. If Paul O'Sullivan has been running amok and running the show with his friends in the justice cluster or the security cluster, he's not going to do that with us. We are not going to.
He's confirmed, sorry to cut you there, he's confirmed as one of the witnesses that will be called. What must he answer for?
Exactly, there are many things that he must answer for. He must come here, he must stop making threats against members of the committee. One of the things that he must answer for are the cases which were withdrawn against him. But also, he must tell us why he pretended to be a member of IPIT when he was not. Because Cedric Nkabinde said here, Paul O'Sullivan was interfering with the work of IPIT. And at some point, you will just go to their offices and summon them to a boardroom for a meeting. As who? He must answer all those questions here. And if he has nothing to hide, he must stop threatening people. He must know that the old alteram principle is going to be his weapon. He will be given an opportunity to come to the committee and explain himself. And stop making all silly threats against witnesses who appear in the committee and against members of this committee. We can't allow Parliament. If the ANC government has allowed higher institutions and higher echelons to be undermined, we are not going to allow that as the MK party, whereas by clowns like Paul O'Sullivan.
All right, thank you so much, Sibonelo Nomvalo. He's a MK party MP serving on this ad hoc committee. The proceedings again will resume after lunch at 2 o'clock. On that note, Mfundo, it's back to you in studio.
Thank you very much, Bulelani. Phillip's SABC News reporter there, giving us a sense of what transpired, of course, at the ad hoc committee, and of course also mentioning forensic investigator Paul O'Sullivan, who may have landed himself in hot water after allegedly sending suspended Police Minister Senzo Mkhunu's Chief of Staff, Cedric Nkabinde, a threatening message which was read out on Wednesday.